Hello dear students, welcome to Bajirao Ias Academy interview guidance program. So in this particular lecture, we will discuss about the role of governor in assent to in giving assent to the bills. So this is very important for your interview and even for your mains exam as well, because the role of governor has become controversial in recent times. It is continuously discussed, debated across different newspapers and different media channels. So therefore, it is very important that UPSC panel members during interview may ask about the role of governor in giving assent to the bills which are passed by the state legislative assemblies. Now, why this issue is in news, why the governor's issue, the role of governor has become controversial, and why it is in news. So this is particularly because of Tamil Nadu government has challenged the actions of its governor, who is R.N. Ravi, in the Supreme Court. So because of this reason, the role of the governor in giving assent to the bills is in news. Now, apart from that, there were also controversial decisions by governors across different states. If you look at Telangana and Maharashtra, Kerala, also Chhattisgarh, and even West Bengal. So in all those states, there's a the role of governor has become controversial. So this is particularly because of recent Tamil Nadu government challenged the actions of its governor in the Supreme Court. Now, in this context, we need to understand he's R.N. Ravi. Okay, so the governor of Tamil Nadu. Okay, so now what is the issue? Governor's inaction. Firstly, so what does it mean? Now, when a bill is passed by the state legislative assembly, and it must get the assent of the governor in order to become a legislation or full-fledged legislation. Okay, so in Tamil Nadu case, the governor has actually stalled the administrative machinery by not cooperating with the state government. So he has not giving assent to the bills which are passed by the state legislative assembly. So therefore, it has led to the stalling of administrative machinery, and this also amounts to not cooperating with the state government. So this can be considered as a constitutional deadlock. Why? Because the state legislative assembly has been passing the bills and the governor has not been giving assent to the bills. Okay, so governor has not granting approval or assent to the crucial orders or bills. So what are those bills? For example, appointment of the members, chairman of the State Public Service Commission, and various other important functions of the state government. So this has led to the constitutional deadlock. In order to challenge this, the Tamil Nadu government has actually approached the Supreme Court. Okay, so what is the demand of the petition that has been filed by the government of Tamil Nadu? So the petition seeks a declaration from the Supreme Court. So the petition actually wants a declaration from the Supreme Court that the governor's refusal to give assent or his refusal to act on the advice of Council of Ministers is illegal and arbitrary. Okay, so this will be considered as illegal and arbitrary. So it also appeals for a time limit within which the governor must consider the pending bills. Okay, so right. So it also appeals for a time limit within which the governor must consider. So earlier there's no time limit, there's no proper time limit within which the governor must give assent to the bills. Okay, so in this context, the Tamil Nadu government actually want that the Supreme Court must give directions that the bills must be given assent within a specific time limit. So therefore, the orders for the balance of power between the state legislature and the office of the governor. Now, in this context, what is the role of the governor? We need to talk about the constitutional role of the governor. Now, firstly, we need to talk about Article 153 of the Indian Constitution. So there shall be a governor for each state. Okay, so there will be a governor in each state. So this is what Article 153 of the Indian Constitution says. And the executive authority of the state is actually vested in the hands of the governor. Okay, so generally every executive action of the state is in the name of the governor. So therefore, governor is nominal executive head and chief minister is actually the real head. So governor is also called as titular or the constitutional head of the state government. So the 7th Constitutional Amendment Act, so that was passed in the year 1956. So what does it says? So it says that, or it facilitated the appointment of the same person as the governor of 2 or more states, or one single person can be appointed as a governor of 2 or more states. So we need to talk about the office of the governor as well. So governor is appointed by the center. So this is Canadian model, or which has been adopted from Canada. Okay, so appointment under Article 155, president under his seal and his warrant under Article 55, right? So tenure of the governor, so 5 years, it is subjected to the pleasure of the president. So what does it mean? So there's no security of tenure for the governor in the appointment of the governor. Okay, so there will be no security of tenure for the governor. And we should also talk about the resignation of at any time. The resignation, the governor can submit his resignation to the President of India. Okay, so governor also has certain legal immunities along with the president, and this has been mentioned in Article 361 of the Indian Constitution. So governor cannot be summoned for questioning except on his or her voluntary willingness to testify in the court or support of his or her controversial deeds. So this ultimately means that the governor enjoys the legal immunity. And when we talk about the resignation, so governor can submit his resignation at any time to the president. And tenure, so generally his tenure is 5 years, but it depends on the pleasure of the president. So generally what happens if government changes at the center, then the governors at the states are actually removed from their posts. So the tenure of the governor or removal of the governor, frequent transfers is also very often controversial. Okay, so because it is said that governors are being used as a tools by the central government to change the government in the respective states. Okay, so therefore in this context we need to talk about the role of governor in giving assent to different bills. So you just have to remember these things about the role of the governor, the constitutional role of the governor. Okay, so in this context, what about the governor's role in giving assent to different bills? So firstly, the governor can give his assent to the bills. So whenever the state legislative assembly passes a bill, the governor can give his assent to that particular bill. Okay, so secondly, the governor can withhold his assent to the bill. Okay, so now state legislative assembly passes a bill, and this bill is sent to the sent to the governor for his assent. So he can withhold his assent to the bill. He can he cannot take he's allowed to take no decision on the bill, so he can withhold his assent to the bills. So third, he can return the bills for the reconsideration of the state legislative assembly. So in this case, when he returned the bill for the reconsideration of the state legislative assembly, when the state legislative assembly passes the bill with or without any amendments, the governor must give his assent to that particular bill. And after that, the governor can also reserve the bill for the consideration of the president in few cases. For example, it is related to the national security, and it also threatens the position of the state high court, and it is contravention with the provisions of any of the directive principles of state policy. So in this case, he can reserve the bill for the consideration of the president. So however, for money bill, the governor must give his assent. Okay, so he cannot withhold his assent, rather he should give his assent to the money bill. Okay, so in this context, what does Article 200 of the Indian Constitution says? Now it says that when a bill is passed by the state legislative assembly, it has to be presented to the governor for assent. So in this context, the governor has 4 options. Okay, so Article 200 says the governor will have 4 options in front of him. So firstly, So we already talked about that. So what are those four options? He can grant his assent to the bill, withhold his assent to the bill, or return the bills for the consideration of the house and reserve the bill for the consideration of the president. So these are the four options which are available for the governor when a bill is passed by the state legislative assembly and sent to the governor for his assent under article 200 of the Indian constitution. Okay, so when a bill is reserved for the assent or reserved for the president or presidential consent, governor may exercise his discretion. So based on his discretion, the governor can reserve a particular bill. So where he feels that the provisions of the bill which are passed by the state legislative assembly contravene the provisions of the constitution. Now, so firstly, the bills reducing the power of the High Court. So the governor can reserve the bill for the consideration of the president, and bills on concurrent list. Okay, so bills on the concurrent list and are repulsive to a union law based on the ministerial advice. So in all these factors, the governor can reserve the bill for the consideration of the president. So okay, so in this context there are various recommendations by different committees. For example, Sarkaria Commission and the Poonji Commission, Rajmanar Commission. So what are these committees have actually recommended? So earlier also we have discussed about the recommendations of these committees with respect to the role of the governor. So how can we ensure that the constitutionality of the role of the governor can be maintained? Now Sarkaria Commission has recommended that the governor should reserve the bill only under rare cases. Okay, so rare cases of unconstitutionality, and he should follow the ministerial advice whenever he is doing so. And the second most important recommendation by Sarkaria Commission said that the president should act on the bills within 6 months for withholding his assents. Okay, so he should act within 6 months whenever the bill is reserved for the consideration of the president. So what Poonji Commission has recommended in this context? So the governor should decide on the bills within 6 months. He should not withhold his assent for indefinite period of time. Rather, he should decide on the bill within 6 months. So secondly, the chief minister should be consulted before appointing any governor, and state legislature must empower to impeach the governor. So therefore the governor will not act as a tool of the central government. Rather, he should act as a linchpin between the center and state government, or linchpin of cooperative federalism. So when we talk about the money bill, so in this context the governor cannot return the bill for the reconsideration of the house. So this is the first instance. So he cannot return the bill, and secondly he must give his assent to the bill, and he should not withhold the assent for this bill, and and he must give his or her assent to it introduced in the state legislature with his previous permission. So this actually means that the money bill is introduced in the state legislative assembly with his previous permission. So therefore he must give his assent to the bill. So when we talk about the private members bill, the Council of Ministers may advise the governor to withhold the assent to that particular bill, which is a private member's bill. So we need to talk about the power shifts as well. Okay, so at state level there are different power shifts. Now in this context, the incumbent government, the present government whose bill has been passed by the legislature, falls or resigns before it actually assented to by the governor, the new council may advise the governor to withhold his assent or not to give his assent to the bill. Okay, so power shifts also influence the decision of the governor with respect to taking any major decision or giving assent to few bills. So governor also enjoys the pocket veto. However, the constitution does not lay down any time limit within which the governor is required to make a decision. Okay, so in this context, pocket veto, governor may withhold his assent for the bill for an indefinite period of time. So therefore different interventions made by the judiciary in the context of governor's role. So firstly, we need to talk about the Shamsher Singh case. So in this case, what Supreme Court has said that is governor does not exercise their discretionary powers while withholding the assent or returning the bill to the state legislative assembly. Okay, so they should not exercise their discretion with respect to the bills which are passed by the state legislative assembly. Now in Rameshwar Prasad case, so in this particular case, Supreme Court has held that the governor's refusal to give assent to the bill is actually subjected to the judicial scrutiny, and it can be struck down as unconstitutional by the higher court. So this is what Supreme Court has said in Rameshwar Prasad case. So there is also another case, that is Nabam Ribia case. So this is also a very important case with respect to disqualification of the members of Lok Sabha. Okay, so the discretionary powers of the governor to withhold the assents are amenable to judicial review. So we all know that the Indian judiciary has the power of judicial review, and the discretionary powers of the governor are actually subjected to judicial review. Now Supreme Court has recently underlined that the power to take decisions which affecting the governance of the state or nation is essentially entrusted to the elected arm of the state. Okay, so this is what the opinion of the Supreme Court with respect to the stalling of the bills between the Council of Ministers and the governor, or the state legislature and the governor. So governor is actually an appointee of the president, and he is just a titular head of the state. So this is what the opinion of the Supreme Court with respect to the role of governor while giving assent to the bills. So in this context, what should be the way ahead? So we should also talk about the way ahead as well. So federalism. Okay, so federalism is a basic feature of the Indian Constitution, so it should be protected at any cost. And in fact, there are different commissions like Poonji Commission. They actually talk about governor as a linchpin of the federalism or federal structure. So it is a basic feature of our constitution, and governor's office should not undermine the powers of elected governments at the states. Okay, so the governors as a titular head or the constitutional head, they should not undermine the governments at the state level. Okay, so apart from that, we should also talk about Supreme Court has also fixed to a timeline for governors to give his assent to the bills. Okay, so there is a need for to fix a timeline for governors so that they can give assent to that particular bills. So constitution may be amended to provide the consultation of the chief ministers before the appointment of the governors, and even impeachment of the governors by the state legislative assembly. So this has been recommended by the Poonji Commission. Okay, so Poonji Commission has recommended that while appointing a governor to a particular state, the state chief minister must be consulted, and state government or state legislative assembly should also be given enough powers to impeach the governor of that particular state. So therefore, in this context, constitution must be amended, and Supreme Court must fix a timeline for governors to give his assent to the bills. So if you remember, with respect to the 10th schedule of the Indian Constitution that deals with the anti-defection law, the Supreme Court has fixed a 3-month timeline to decide on anti-defection petition by the speaker. So earlier there was no timeline on the speaker. So in this context also, the Supreme Court must fix a timeline for governor to give assent to the bills. Okay, so that's all in this lecture. That's all about the role of governor while giving assent to the bills and way ahead as well. Okay, so the constitutional role of the governor and the recommendations of the different committees, and the role and the opinion of the judiciary with respect to this. Okay, so please subscribe to our YouTube channel and also hit the like button if you really like our work, and thank you.